the hybrid? Are we going with the 3-wood? And there was back and forth, and I was like, oh, this is going to get heated here for a few minutes. But one thing about Joel and Gino, they have that relationship where they can go back and forth and each other trust each other with their shot. Gino is a heck of a golfer too, and this darn good and well. Him and I, he has played some crazy golf, and as far as Joel having anybody next to him, I don't think he'd want anybody next to him other than Gino.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could just tell working on for a long time. Anyone that's listening online, hopefully the audio's all fixed about it as we started. And I have the blue snowball that we use for the audio for the online to the other computer, because that's usually what's set up to our wide view. I have guests today. I have it set up that way, and I'm pretty sure if you don't have it on the deal, the audio is not going to come through. So I started thinking about it. I went and checked, and I couldn't hear it on my phone. So hopefully it's going now. I don't know either way. But no, just, again, I didn't get to watch as much of it as I'd like to. I'd rather have just been stuck on my chair watching the whole thing. But obviously, got to be there for the kid, and she got 100 million new Barbie things and all that. But just, I went home and watched the end of it again, and it's just so cool. I mean, his comment right afterwards, while he's like still in the moment of going, man, it's so hard to win a tournament. Like, you could just tell how exhausted he was, even though he said in an interview afterwards that he felt in control the whole time. But there were so many times where just the littlest miss and you're not going to win it. And he was struggling a little bit on the back nine and was just kind of holding on. I got really lucky, actually, as Campos, which was tied for second, has a birdie putt to tie him, and it flipped out.
15-footer. It was a 15-footer, but you look at that. The wind was blowing so bad.
Okay, and see, I was right. Carrie was saying I couldn't hear you at first. That was my fault. I overthought things and had things set up in the wrong spot.
But that's the thing. I mean, Campos had a 15-footer. The wind was blowing so bad the entire day, and you just watched it. But I think the big one was to see, how he was able to control. But you look at earlier in the week, Joel controlled the entire back nine the entire time. If you look at his card, and things are a little slow here today. If you look at his card for the entire weekend, 3 under on round 1, 2 under on round 2, 4 under round 3, and then 2 bogeys on the 4th round, which is crazy. I mean, to control, have total control of the back nine and that course. And they talked the entire time too how much everybody else was struggling on that backside, and he had total control of it. He had those 2 big hiccups. I mean, but for him to be, I think he was tied for second going into after round 1. Round 2, he was with 4, and then be the leader going into the last day. I mean, 19 birdies, 5 bogeys total. I mean, he played a clutch day. I mean, overall, just huge day for him. I mean, he's had so many interviews, and we've tried to share on our own pages and Twitter pages and all that, and just knowing exactly what he's getting out of it. He was more into getting the PGA, card for the next 2 years.
I think getting the points. I think it's 3 years.
Well, 22, 23. So yeah. So, but it's like he said in the one interview, I'd rather be that person that stuck around for 12 years and taking home about $1 million a year than be that one to get one championship and done. Mm-hmm. I mean, that just tells you how it is. I mean, in the props he was given. I mean, to Gino, to his wife Lona, to his coach, his dad, and being a cancer survivor too. That's a huge one.
And it wasn't even that he was getting love from, the local people here. I mean, obviously my Facebook blew up. No. Everyone was sharing different stuff. But even just if you go to PGA pages and and all of the videos that were coming out. Because we, here a couple months ago and talking about how they just like to have fun and try to take it seriously as others. And as our guest went to the other room. So, so we'll have our guest on here in a second. But just the fact that they are light on the tour, and to see everyone happy for them, not even just the local people, is fantastic.
Well, I think he was working on his game really a bunch. To miss 7 of 8 cuts. That was the biggest thing, is missing those cuts, and he knew that his game was right there. His game was there, and that's what he was telling. That's what he worked with his coach about. The game's there. They didn't change anything coming into the tournament, but I think the coolest one was seeing Gino, and I know I shared it. I think I shared it on our but seeing what they. I mean, he was so relaxed. He was so relaxed going into it. He was ready to go, and that, and so. Excited. He was. You believe I went and looked. He was 48-1 odds to win the tournament. 48-1. I mean, right away. He kind of felt fixed a little bit in one interview I saw. He kind of felt like he couldn't get into the match play, so he had to come down and he had to prove something. And so it was kind of to see him kind of take that step forward. And
we had talked about it when we first started the show about how great he finished 2020, and he was getting up there in the points, especially as the season had just gotten started. And 2021 has not been good at all. So, obviously you're going to miss match play when you can't make cuts over and over. So hopefully this is a big step forward for him and he gets things rolling.
7 of 8 cuts. I mean, that's tough, but I think I'm more excited to see what he won't get into the Masters next week. That was not part of the whole thing. So kind of bummed about that, but we did hear, and I don't know how true it is. He should be back in the Valley this week. So, cross our fingers we can get a hold of Gino and them and maybe bring him in, but we'll hope we're better. First win after 111 PGA starts. So hats off to Joel Damon. We'll talk a little bit more about Joel here later on the show too.
All right, but right now we have a guest in the house, fresh off of the national championship game. We're gonna have a lot of fun with him. I got to change your name on here. Hold on. We got Khalil Stevenson. He's not R&R. I got to fix that. But Khalil, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Good. And that microphone's a little touchy, so we want to talk right into it. It's a pain. But
is it working now?
Yeah, it's working perfect. So first thing I got to ask is, how was that experience down there, playing 4 games in 5 days and getting to the national championship game and having such a hard-fought game as you guys did?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing overall is a great experience. I mean, 4 games in 5 days, it kind of takes you back to like AAU basketball days, kind of having to play right after one another. But it's fun, man, getting to be around the team for that long. You just build bonds, memories that you can't break.
Yeah, you still had to be isolated. What kind of protocols was happening down at that at the NAIA level? We've seen what's going on with NCAA. Tell us a little bit about what kind of things how things set up for you guys.
Yeah, for us, we had to test every 48 hours. We go that morning to the basement of the municipal and take a test. And for the most part, we would just quarantine more in the hotels. We'd be able to hang out with each other in each other's rooms, but that's pretty much about it. Stayed locked down for the most part.
Did you like the way that the NAIA does it, where it's all in one weekend, or would you have rather it been the NCAA style, where you might have been there for a month with 4 or 5 days?
I mean, if I could get a month in that atmosphere, I would love that.
Yeah,
being there, it's a great feeling. So for just 4 days, it kind of seems fast, but it makes you have to value every day and take in every day a lot more serious. So I would probably choose. I wouldn't mind the NAIA for the short 4 days. It's long enough.
You're not jumping on a plane every couple of days.
Right, to go to the city. It's a lot.
Tough. So talk a little bit about, you played your first year junior college down in Fullerton Junior College, close to home. You're a SoCal boy. So what kind of things are different between LCSC and playing down at the junior college there?
Well, actually, my first year of junior college, I played in San Diego, California, at Southwestern College. But my second year, I played Fullerton, and it's a grind, man. But the JUCO experience is so much different, such that it makes you value and show your love for the sport. You'll know real quick if you really want to do it. If you can't make it there, you can't make it anywhere. That's kind of how I think of it. But it's a great experience. I'll never forget those days, and I think those days really build a foundation for how good you can grow for the next level.
And then what made you choose LC?
I think LC kind of chose me. For the most part, I was done playing basketball. I was kind of just working and going to school still. And one day I got a call from Coach Johnson. We had a conversation about redshirting, getting back on track school-wise, and eventually playing. And it seemed like the best option for me at the time, so I said, why not?
Give another chance and come up here. Now you've started all 24 games, averaging 8.2 this season, 3.7 rebounds per game. Crazy field goal percentage, shooting almost 51%. What part of your game do you really work on the most? What part of your game do you take the most pride in?
I think just kind of being that coach on the floor type of player value. My nickname on the team is like a Swiss Army knife, which for me, I take responsibility in that role, knowing that I need to know a lot of different spots and a lot of different things. Kind of it's added pressure, but I love it. Just why not have a hand in everything? It's kind of my thing.
Now, it said on your profile on lcwarriors.com that you want to become a basketball coach.
Yes, sir.
Has that been kind of the reason why you're doing that on the coach? Or are you getting a lot of experience on the other side?
Yeah, I think like being able to be the coach on the floor would help translate real easily to just being only on the sideline. I know it's going to be a big jump, but if I could see things from as a player in a coach's eyes still, but it gives me a leg up on the court. Yeah.
All right, so we got 19 points in the national championship game. I mean, it was tough for us as we were trying to stream it was on a Tuesday, trying to stream the game, watch the game, and do the show. What things can you take away? I mean, it looked like it was just hard getting the offense going there in that championship game.
Yeah, I mean, that game was such an up and down game. I'd say for the most part, it wasn't our best shooting night. So just felt like every shot we did make was earned, and it was really tough to get. So just down the stretch, I just said they counted up. They made better shots or more shots.
Is their size a factor at all? Because they're center. Right. Again, so with the first half we were able to watch with the audio and stuff before we started live here. And that's all the commentary wanted to talk about was every time their center came in, it was 6'11" or whatever it was, and was averaging like 8 blocks a game. Did that change your game plan?
They were definitely he was definitely all of 6'11", but for the most part, we started from our game plan and kept the same. Try to get inside out and get our threes that way. So I don't think their height necessarily changed our game plan, but we definitely noticed it.
Right.
Who did with LCSC changing conferences and all that? Who was the team that you played against this year that was probably the most challenging for you to play against? I mean, you had a really good game against Benedictine Mesa where you scored, what was it, 22
that
points?
Was his opening round game.
Yeah. So, I mean, which game probably stood out to you the best this year?
I think probably the most challenging games would have to be our 2 Arizona Christian games on the road this year. For the first part, it was our first game against a ranked opponent at that time. So it was our first pretty big challenge. And then we also on the road. That was our first time really being on the road. So experiencing that with, a group of 6 seniors, but then also a lot of freshmen, it's good to get those win and that experience at the same time.
So we got to ask. I mean, we've had a couple of basketball players on here and a couple of other athletes. It's the question we always have to go to. How much did COVID affect the last 2 years? How weird has it been?
Well, I mean, for 2 years ago now, I guess, when it first hit. It was a shock. I had just broken my arm right before COVID hit in the conference championship games. For me, it was my season had already been over at that point, but still with COVID hitting on top of it, I kind of felt for everybody else.
Mhm.
It was like kind of took it from everybody. So coming back, we knew we had unfinished business pretty much from the last year. So I think if COVID, if anything, really drove us to like know that at any point in time the game could be taken from us, and so just not to take any days for granted. And I think that was a big thing for us this year.
Well, we know that you're and getting ready to move on. Where does the road lead for you after LC?
Well, hopefully after get a coaching foot in the door somewhere, type of job, whether it be an assistant coach or even as well as a manager somewhere, just get my foot in the door, kind of get the ball rolling on that, and then see where that takes me. I mean, that could take me.
Have you asked about trying to get on with the coaching staff here? Or?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. It's still something we talk about. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I had the opportunity to coach, and I still call him the president. I knew CJ Johnson, and he was one of those players that I had over got to deal with all the time when I first started announcing, and he'd always come over and always had something positive to say. And how is it working with Austin Johnson? I mean, we've heard lots of stuff about him. And I'm trying to remember the school he came from before, because that's where Jet went to go play. Yeah, there you go. What is it to play for Austin Johnson and these guys, Braden Wilson, CJ Johnson, who are local boys too, and repping LCSC?
I think. Well, one, I owe a lot to Johnson. I mean, he pretty much found me when I was doing nothing, so I owe a lot to him, and I'm grateful for him. I think he's a great coach. I mean, not only does his record overall speak for it, but just his buy-in. I've been around some bad coaches and some coaches that are not fully there and trying to be about the team, but you don't get that vibe. Johnson's all about it, and he's just a great dude. Great dude to play, a great dude to be around. So.
And I'm going to guess that's kind of the coaching you're going to try to implement when you go that way.
If I could be as good as that, that'd be great.
All right, so we got a game for you.
Okay.
Robert's got a bunch of questions on his piece of paper over there.
You know, we want to get to know our players a little bit more. We've had some guests in here. We've had Tristan Bradley, who we've known many times. We had AJ Davis with Clarkson. Playing baseball and that, try to get to know each other. I mean, that's what we want to let them know. So here's where we're going to start. I'm going to start out with a couple of quick questions to get to know you, and then we're going to do a little word association thing. So first off, favorite class at LC?
Favorite class at LC? Ooh, that's a tough one. I have to say probably as a whole, my kinesiology classes, I mean, my kines teachers are amazing. They work with me, and they make it so much easier to learn. I love going to class and actually learning some things.
Do you have a favorite teacher? None of them are things. We're not going to take any.
Favorite teacher, just because I've had her the most, I would say Jessica Savage. I've had her a lot, and she's great.
All right, next one. Favorite food?
Pizza. That takes it easy.
Okay, we got no toppings.
I could definitely just be a basic pepperoni guy, but I don't mind like a meat lovers type of pizza or anything. Definitely not a pineapple.
That a guy.
Please tell me CJ or Tristan or one of those guys have taken you over to Fazari's and you've had Fazari's while you've been here.
Funny story about Fazari's. I just got here my first week, and actually in one of my first registered work, I chipped my tooth here. So right after that, we ended up going to Fazari's as a redshirt team, kind of. And so it was good. I didn't enjoy eating it. It hurt, but it tasted really good.
All right. Favorite sports movie?
Love basketball.
Basketball, good. Favorite non-school basketball or different activity that's not basketball, not sports related, not school related activity?
Not sports related. I would say photography. I have a little niche for photography. Something in high school I thought might want to do later on in life. And I now just kind of have a camera, especially last year when it was snow on the ground. For me, that's like the first. So I took my camera out, a couple pictures.
There you go.
Nice.
Well, I might answer the next question. What do you love about the LC Valley?
Well, I love that I get to experience all the seasons.
On
as
the
much
same
as
day.
I don't like, as much as I don't like the cold, I still I like that I get to experience it at least.
Yeah, I mean, I've told Randy and I've been friends for many years, and I moved away for 6 months and went to South Louisiana. I was below New Orleans, and that's the one thing I miss. I miss seeing all 4 seasons, and I was like, I gotta come back home. I gotta come back home. So I'm gonna swing it the other direction. What do you miss the most about Southern California? You're from the LA area, Fullerton area. What do you miss about that area down there?
The food, honestly, it's a different food option. Just like go down the street and go to different food trucks, even like just so many different options out there. It's just amazing. The food is great.
Okay. All right. Now the fun one.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a player's name, and then you're gonna give me a word association. We're gonna make it like real short, a couple words. That's about it. Okay. First one, Tristan Bradley.
Sorry, keep it 3 words. Big time shooter. Gotta go with big time shooter.
All right. How about Jake Allwright?
That's my go-to guy. Jake's my roommate, and me and him go to a lot of battles together. So I always know I count on him. It's my go-to guy.
Go-to man. Demick Mitchell.
That's my point guard. I like to call him. He's been the point guard here since I've gotten here. Even my redshirt year. And me and Meek just always kind of clown each other and each other, so it's nice.
All right, Hodges Bailey.
Hodges Bailey. A guy called Hodges Bailey the prison guard. That's the defensive player of the year right there, and he's definitely earned that title. Especially every day practice, we feel it. So gotta give him the prison guard.
He doesn't take it easy on you. Huh?
Oh no, sir. That's why if you think we were tough, mainly because Hodges beating us up in practice. So.
That's good. And probably the toughest one. Here we go, Khalil Stevenson.
I gotta go with the Swiss Army knife. I like that. I like that one too much. I think it's a good representation of how I like to be.
I think that's the best descriptor we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think it fits. I mean, obviously with all the COVID stuff, we haven't been able to watch your games live as much. I was there for the opening round game and was able to watch that, and you just took over, especially in the second half. And you're right, whether it's defense, moving the ball around, if they need a shooter, you were there. So, yeah, I do think that.
Thank you.
I think that was the last one out of my word associations.
I think it worked out pretty good. Some good answers. I was really curious about the Jake Bradley, the Jake, just for, again, I was there for that opening round game with him getting kicked out. So I was curious, what was the feeling in the locker room after?
I mean, we just told him like that wasn't going to be his last game because we knew we had a lot more in store than just the next game too. So we just try to keep his head positive, which it did. I mean, that next game on the bench, if you guys could have been there, you would have heard.
Yeah, we watched it, and he was the best water boy I've ever seen. He was in it. And Jake is always. I mean, I have a class with Jake, and Robert's watched Jake play for Clarkston for years. So obviously his intensity, and he, as you say, very caring person and very opinionated and very open with his thoughts, and just a fantastic guy. But I was just curious because I just knew, for just seeing him go off the court and how intense he was, he had built himself up a bit too much for that game, just for the guy he was getting ready to defend. So I'm glad you guys were there to be able to pick him up like that. And like you said, he was the best water boy I've ever seen. He was ready to go. Again, we were watching. I paid my $10 and I was watching it on the computer. And the moment there's timeouts, Jake was just he was ready.
They needed him. Yeah, they did it.
So I got to ask one more question, because you are a senior and things may seem weird here at LC. I'm just a freshman, so things are just weird for me anyway. But is it weird?
You're an old freshman. Just I want to throw that out there one more time.
I talked to a guy from Central Michigan. I am an
seasoned veteran.
Untraditional. Non-traditional freshman. That's what I am. But spring, my body's feeling it now, like expecting spring spring break to be this week. Is it weird for you as a senior having your schedule get messed up like this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of this whole past year and a half scheduling in it of itself between anything, it's just been so it's kind of, I would say, less weird now. It's more of the normal for it to just be kind of different, ever changing at the same time. So kind of used to it.
You excited to graduate?
Yes, but I'll actually be coming back next year.
Oh, there you go. Are you playing too, or?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Fine.
I guess that was. I always forget that you get that extra year
Yeah,
of eligibility if you want. Is there any other seniors doing that, or
as far as I know,
the only one coming back?
Yeah.
And be the leader.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I like it. Well, Khalil, I thank you very much, and hopefully next year when you come back, and we'll get you back on to get ready for the next season.
I'd love to be on anytime.
All right, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, that's Khalil Stevenson joining us here live with the R&R Sports Report, coming to you live from LCSC. And quick update and score from the Gonzaga game. It is final, and they are on their way to the Final Four as the Zags knock off USC 85-66. What a great guy. I tell you what.
Absolutely. Mild-mannered, just Swiss Army knife. I think that works out perfect.
I think that is the coolest nickname that I have ever heard. I've never heard of anybody really saying anything, giving themselves a nickname, but that's just awesome. Uh-oh. Already?
So we had a sad face come up on the stream, and apparently Haley is watching our show, and Addie saw me and said, "I love you," and kissed the screen and hit the sad face. So my kids are doing what your grandkids are doing.
Bain, and we got to bring that up too. And Bain's not listening right now, but Grandma didn't pick him up tonight. So yeah, Grandma wasn't feeling super hot, so didn't get him picked up tonight. But his birthday is actually Thursday, day after Addie's birthday. So happy birthday to Bain. He's gonna be 2. I can't believe that, man.
Yeah, Addie, if you're still listening, happy birthday tomorrow. All right, so now that was a fantastic interview. Thank you again to Khalil Stevenson for taking the time out and talking to us. And like you said, Gonzaga moving on. And now the big matchup of the night, sir, will be starting here shortly.
It determines who wins our bracket between us.
Yes. If Michigan wins, which I'm kind of expecting them to do, Robert over here will win our bracket challenge. If UCLA can pull off the upset and continue the Pac-12 dominance, I will survive with my terrible total. It's just the men's tournament has just kicked my butt.
It was a rough tournament. I looked at some of them, and it's just crazy. So looking really quick at some point totals, it looks like Drew Timme, 23 points, 10 of 19. And then Corey Kispert, 18 points and 8 rebounds. So
and I want to talk about that game just for a minute. The Gonzaga game is the referee situation that happened just before I came down here to the studio, where the ref passes out like on the court, just completely out of the blue. It was just so surprising. And it was like literally as I'm packing up, getting out of the door, listening to the rest on the radio. It does look like he's getting great care and he's resting and he's doing okay. So, that was great to see, but a scary moment.
Well, they said he wasn't even going to go and get checked out,
right.
So which is good. So, for everybody to act as quick as they did, even the assistant coach for Gonzaga, that happened right in front of the bench, man, and he was calling for people over there really quick. But there was a lot of first responders in there, so which is really, really good. So,
all right, so let's move on to what has been happening on this tournament. And I gotta ask you. So we talked about it. The first and second round got moved back a day. So you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I kind of like that. Now for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, they went Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I hate that. I don't like it at all, because now it's messing up our show.
Right.
And people probably aren't even listening because Gonzaga was on. Maybe they're starting to tune in now. But what did you think of this?
I kind of like this a little bit more. It gives us something that we're paying attention to and watching out here.
Enough to pay attention to right now. I don't need anything else.
But I mean, we're so used to having everything just on the weekend, and I think this is adding a little bit for bringing live sports a little bit more to the forefront during the week, especially now. Here in about 2 days, last spring training games just wrapped up. So I think it's a good thing, and it's kind of grown on me. Go ahead and write it down. It's kind of grown on me that everything is locally central for all these teams. Granted, that means Gonzaga, you're stuck back in Indiana for 15 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like the fact that they're acclimated to that stuff right around there. They're good to go, and that's awesome. I think
you stay in that environment the whole time. You're not going back home, and
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just felt weird. I get that you're saying, well, okay, now we have stuff to pay attention to Monday and Tuesday. I had nothing on Thursday and Friday. That was my problem. I wanted to watch the basketball, and I couldn't. That was the disappointing part. I was just so acclimated to that schedule.
That's the problem. That's the problem for tomorrow night. I think there's a couple games tonight, but I have a training.
Nope. So the Sweet 16
nothing tomorrow.
The Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 for both the men and the women were on the same days, which is another thing I didn't like.
You and I are not going to watch NBA. I mean, I'm not going to watch NBA tomorrow, but I mean, I have a training tomorrow from 5 to 8. But I mean, what am I going to do tomorrow on a Wednesday?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully Haley's not listening anymore. I have stuff to do Wednesday. I don't know what it is yet.
I haven't figured
but
it out.
I have important things that probably not. I don't know. Just messing with my schedule. So again, to look back at the games that we've missed over the weekend, Oral Roberts up double digits over Arkansas, looking to be the first 15 seed to make the Elite Eight, ended up falling apart in the second. I wouldn't say falling apart. Arkansas stormed back and was able to win that game. If Oral Roberts would have won that game,
it's sick.
Would that have been the greatest run in tournament history? I mean, I know you have VCU.
You still have Ione. Ione is that team that has stuck out in the back of my mind.
I mean, you had Butler. I forget what Butler was when they took on Duke in the national championship game. Obviously, they weren't a 15 seed. I want to say they were like a 7, somewhere in there. So, I mean, you've had some big underdogs make it much farther than just the Elite Eight. But
can you imagine if it would have been Baylor? Yeah. Can you imagine if it would have been Baylor and Oral Roberts?
Right.
That would have been a sick Elite Eight. And then if Loyola would have shown up against Oregon State, the last minutes of that ball game too, it could have been. That side of the bracket was so tough. I mean, to lose Illinois so early out, but I guess Sister Jean or whatever her name was called brought in the prayer folks.
It's worked the last 2 years for Loyola Chicago. They didn't get it against Oregon State because the Pac-12 has just been so good. But
are you surprised here's my thing. Are you surprised because Pac-12 wasn't getting the love early in the season?
Honestly, and we always talk about East Coast bias. You hear that
all the time.
Everything. When's the last time the Pac-12 got any love ever?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's football or basketball. I mean, they're second fiddle. I mean, they deserve to be second fiddle in football for the last few years, but I mean, they never get any love for basketball.
No.
But any doing what the Pac-12 did this year is always going to be surprising that they were able to get going. I mean, up until the first weekend, their only loss was Colorado.
Colorado played in that game. You look at that game; it was a decent game,
and they even won their first game. So all 5 teams that made the tournament at least won one game. You had to have 2 Pac-12 teams play each other to eliminate the next one.
Right. Well, I mean, Colorado come out, fired up, and then 96-73 against Georgetown. That was going to be a huge game for Patrick Ewing and what he was going to do. But I think just coming up against, and even Florida State, I don't think they get as much love. They're a football school.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to figure out how do we get away from these descriptors of all these teams of, oh, you're only a football school. You're only a baseball school.
Well,
Here we go. Here we go.
With
Here we go.
LC.
LCSC. We've been known over here as a baseball school for how many years, and now you have both the basketball programs making it into the tournament. I mean, we've got to get away from the idea of
the men
stereotyping it.
Out of the last two tournaments have made the Final Four, and now the national championship this year. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. All right, let's go to the women now, where far less upsets.
I'm killing my bracket.
In the women's bracket, and then that is why you are way ahead of me in points, is because you are Chalk City.
I am. I got 88 points, I think. Is that what I told you last night? I think it was 88 points.
Well, I'm at 77 now, but that includes South Carolina already winning their game. So
I didn't
the
have
two
that
games
one.
that we have today, South Carolina, the 1 seed, beat Texas 62-34. South Carolina outscored Texas 10 in the entire fourth quarter. Texas did not score a point in their final quarter.
That's not good.
So South Carolina now will be meeting the winner of the last game on the women's side, which has just under 6 minutes to go in the second quarter between number 1 seeded Stanford and number 2 seeded Louisville. Again, that's a big matchup for us on our women's brackets. I have Louisville moving on. You had Stanford. Louisville is currently leading 28-21.
And if I hit that, I get all 4 in the Final Four. It's a shoe-in then. I just UCLA. It's I'm already winning in the other basketball side. I might as well just keep rolling with the college side, right?
Yeah, I like UCLA winning. I like your thought. Since you need me today. All right, let's move on. Let's change the field. We've talked basketball for a while now. Baseball starts on Thursday.
And all 30 teams play.
And even better,
that's what
is my English class, which is usually at 10:30. Is doing a library week, and I did my library day today. I am off on Thursday, and that is my last class of the day. And the Yankees play at 10, so I will be watching baseball all day on Thursday.
That's Bubba's birthday. I don't know if I have him. I think I'm playing golf that morning. I'm not 100%, but we got the Asotin game. We'll talk a little bit about Asotin here later. But
all right, so let's go through this. We're going to do our award review first, and then we'll go through all the divisions and the World Series predictions. All of these are sure to go wrong, so definitely do not put any jelly beans on these predictions because we have a fantastic track record. Let's start with the NL Manager of the Year. Robert, who do you got?
Which one did you say? NL?
NL Manager of the Year.
NL Manager of the Year. I back and forth, but I ended up leaning towards San Diego. They're just all about winning right now. They've got Fernando Tatis there, Manny Machado. I think that's going to be the team that's going to give the Dodgers a big push, and I think Jace Tingler is going to be that catalyst.
But my question is, does he get nicked because of all of the talent they brought in? Offseason was one for the record books for what they brought in to add to that, which was already pretty good. And now, their pitching rotation is almost completely different.
But they've got such and maybe that's what you're going with this. There's so much talent. There's so many big names on that team. I think it's going to be up to him to keep them all nice. Not to be saying keep them even. Because you want them exploding and hitting them and playing ball, but to keep the clubhouse just nice and steady. And I think that's why I'm going that direction. I think he's going to be that guy that'll just maintain a nice, fluid feeling in that clubhouse.
Yeah, and I understand the pick. I think San Diego is going to take a big step forward. That's why I'm going with my pick for the same reason. I think this team is going to take a big step forward and possibly win their division, and that is the New York Mets with Luis Rojas. Adding Lindor in there. Their starting rotation obviously is very banged up right now, with Carrasco is going to miss about 2 months, maybe 3 months. Syndergaard, who's going to start on the IL. He'll probably be back for the second half of the year. But you add both of those in with, I'm now blanking on the guy from Toronto they just got, Jacob deGrom as well. Why am I blanking on that guy's name? Looking it up because my brain shut down. Marcus Stroman. There we go. The old Toronto. So you get Stroman and deGrom and Noah Syndergaard and Carrasco in the second half of the year. That's a fantastic rotation. And I think that will help out with Luis Rojas.
I think you hit it on the head. I think that's going to be a huge plus for that team. And it's going to be a huge growing point. Do I think they're going to go and run away with that division? No. Do I think they sneak into the wild card? Maybe.
Maybe.
But
that might be enough.
And that might be enough. And that's the thing. We've seen what happened with a wild card. Mm-hmm. These wild cards can do just about anything.
All right. How about your AL manager of the year? I want you to go first just because I love mine too much. And you almost went this route when you were chicken. And I'm not a chicken.
And the reason I went this way is what he did with the ball last year. You know, in just the 60 games, he was over 500 and moved them out of the cellar, moved them up. And that I'm going to go with Charlie Montoyo. I just think the
coach from Toronto,
the manager from Toronto. I think bringing that ball club up above 500 for the first time in God knows how many years, I think that is a plus for that ball club, and I'm excited to see where he can bring on a full season. Mm-hmm. And Charlie Montoyo, heck of a second baseman. I mean, he knows how to play the game too. I'm excited for him to see what happens.
All right. I have fun with. It's a team that I've already said on this show that I am all in on. And I do believe they're either going to win their division or finish in 4th or 5th place of their division. And not starting out great, as Eloy Jimenez is out, I believe, for the season, if not for just a very, very long time, as he got injured in a spring training game, putting in too much effort, which is why you never do that. But I am going with Joe Man Carusa as my manager of the year.
Well, like you and I were talking about earlier, I think he is going to be that. It's either going to be a make or break with him. Either they're going to survive with him or they're going to go down trying. But I was almost there with that pick too. I thought about it a couple times, but I went ahead and went younger. I mean, La Russa's not getting any younger.
Like
what is he?
7 years old.
I was thinking, what is he, like 71 or 70?
All right, let's do the rookie of the years quick as who knows. I mean, there are so much young talent out there right now that which ones are going to break out, which ones are going to stay up, which ones. I mean, my pick for the rookie of the year is Sixto Sanchez, even though he just got put down into the minors. I don't expect him to stay there long. And I also expect him to be the ace of that rotation on a team I think has a chance to get into the wild card. So that's why I have Sixto Sanchez as my rookie of the year.
I've got K. Brian Hayes from Pittsburgh. He just is. He's kind of like a little spark plug. I love watching him play. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know if I'm excited about where he's at.
Right. The team I heard.
Pittsburgh is just that team that's just like, well, what do I do? And I think that's it. I think he's got tons of talent. And I think he's make a name for himself. Maybe if it's, get through your rookie deal a couple of years, and then maybe he'll find a big place.
I think they're going to build around Hayes, but it could be tough for him. Getting the counting numbers up, the RBI is up, when there's nobody on base around him. How about your AL rookie of the year?
I tell you, I really want to go with Jared Kelenic. Seattle. I really do.
By the way, Mike says you are golfing on Thursday.
Oh, I haven't heard what time tee time is. Yes, so I guess we'll find out here in a little bit.
Breaking news: Robert is golfing.
There you go. Randy, I'm going to change it. As much
No.
as okay, no, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it.
Ruin our joke.
So I'm going to.
Okay, you can do whatever you want.
I'm going to stay with Madrigal from Chicago. He had a great start to the season last year, and then has had some surgery. What do I want to say? He had shoulder surgery. I was trying to remember which surgery he had. Shoulder surgery, and so he is looking to come back and be just as good as he was before he went out. But as far as Kelnick, I think he can be that next guy. And yes, he was part of that whole Seattle Mariner debacle with those guys. And so I mean,
about time.
So with that question, how long do you think he stays down in the minors? They sent him back to the minors on the Friday.
It's after April 15th, I think, is the first big date. So I would say that. Whatever that first date is, it's the middle of April sometime.
Think they bring him right back up?
Yeah, 100%. Which does look a little shady after what was talked about.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that's what they do. By the way, you are teeing off at 11:06. 11:06 tea time. Just to keep everyone up to date. You went with Madrigal as your official pick. I went the wrong. I'm taking Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox. Again, I am all in on this White Sox team, taking a big step forward. They're my underdog pick, my sleeper pick, if you will. How about, let's see. Just give me both of your Cy Youngs.
Both my Cy Youngs. Trevor Bauer. You and I talked about Trevor the other day. He's classy. I like what he brings.
Classy is the wrong word.
The way that video was hilarious. Watching him play, he likes to have a good time. So I'm going Trevor Bauer, and for my AL Cy Young, write it down. I'm taking a Cleveland Indian. I'm taking Shane Bieber.
So you're taking the two that won it last year.
Yes.
To both repeat.
Yes.
Okay. So if anyone has not seen that video of Trevor Bauer, it's so much fun.
I think I shared it. I'm not 100%.
Anyway, he used to be with the Cleveland Indians. He was facing them in a minor league game, and he's friends with Ramirez, and started having fun with him at his bat, and was closing one eye and kept pointing at the eye that he was closing before every pitch. And then even got to the point where he was telling him what pitches were coming.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to throw a fastball. I'm going to throw a slider, just the way it was our movement, and still struck him out. And had the biggest smile on his face. I love pitchers that have fun. Trevor Bauer's great. Zach Greinke, great. This guy's out there.
Zach's getting there in age. I don't.
But he's to the point where he's having fun. He's the first guy I've ever seen, like, literally tell the batter what signs they're doing.
I'll be surprised if Zach gets more than 12 wins.
I'm
thinking 10 wins maybe for him.
I'm not saying as far as talent-wise. I don't think that Zach Greinke is one of the best pitchers out there. Just, I love watching him pitch.
Yeah.
Just because he's having fun. Bauer gets that big crazy strut if he strikes out the side or something. He's fantastic. But I don't think we're going to get back-to-back Cy Young winners. I'm going to go New York style on mine. Jacob deGrom has been fantastic. I think he was probably the second best pitcher last year in the National League, so I'm going to give it to him.
So John the train south.
Yep, and Garrett Cole. Come on, Cole. We need it. Oh, as a Yankee fan, we need Cole to have just a monster year. Last year, throw it out the window because the COVID stuff messed everything up. He only played 60 games. This is the year Cole dominates for the Yankees. I hope.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you look here. Here's the thing. I looked earlier. CBS, out of all their people, they have 4 of the 5 taking Garrett Cole. Just where you know that. I leaned.
We all jinxed it.
I would say they either jinxed it or maybe I didn't lean far enough that direction.
All right. NL MVP. I was leaning Acuna, but I think they're going to have a slight down year.
They looked, after what I saw today, just on this last spring training game against Boston, they jumped out there in the second with him.
No, I'm not.
Jay, but
I think Acuna is going to have a great year.
I think Acuna's going to
I'm worried about their pitching. And there's a lot of times, I mean, you have to have a monster year to get in the MVP race if your team's not in it.
Right.
Like Trout has to be setting records and just putting all-time numbers to be an MVP with the Angels when they're not contending. I don't see that from Acuna, so I went with a player that I believe will be in contention, and obviously the Dodgers are going to be that top team. So I went Mookie Betts for my MVP.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right on that. I don't think I'm a little concerned. You know, they've got first base figured out there for Atlanta. They've got their outfield is young.
They got their
I'm
their
concerned.
offense is so good.
What I'm concerned with that ball club is their bench. The bench is not super deep. I mean, like today, you got Pablo Sandoval. I didn't realize Pablo was still playing.
He will never retire.
And that dude was up batting today, and I was like, okay, I thought you retired a few years ago. So I'm gonna go with Fernando Tatis. I'm excited to see what this ball club can do. You know, are they going to be enough to go against the Dodgers and go up against Bellinger and make a really good contention? Can he get the addedness of having Manny Machado? I think that's up to Tatis's numbers. So give me Fernando Tatis.
All right, how about your AL MVP?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because you pulled up his name a minute ago. I'm going Mike Trout. Granted, he's a little bit older and all that. And I was listening to Hot Stove this morning. They were talking about that a MVP hasn't really come out in a batter player. It's been more of, the pitcher has been winning it. But I just
winning
like
the MVP.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. I was Ron Darling talking about.
The last time I was just looking at the list right now. The last time a pitcher won the AL MVP was in 2011.
Well, then I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I recorded Ron Darling talking about it, and it was just kind of funny. But I'm a Mike Trout fan. I just think that he's going to have another great season. I mean, Seattle's not going to be in that mix this year again. Unfortunately, we're going to be building again.
Right.
Houston is not the same. Springer's not there. I mean, I just think it's going to be, and I don't think Oakland's anywhere close to that. So I think it's going to be the Angels running away with it. And just,
wow.
Yeah, I think between them, yeah, I think Houston's going to be there, but I don't think it's going to be.
Well, we'll get to the predictions here in just a second. But yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Mike Trout. You're just picking him every year. He didn't even have. I mean, okay, your last year still finished fifth in the voting. He's won it 3 times? 2014, 2016, 2019. So I get it for sure. I'm going to go with the guy that finished second last year, Jose Ramirez. I'll pick him. I wanted to pick DJ, but he always gets slighted for that award. So I've given up on him having a chance. All right, let's get to our prediction now. I'm going to go through. Let's do National League first. Give me your division winners, your 2 wild cards.
Well, National, I'm going, it's going to be easy. The East and the West are probably pretty well set. It's going to be the Atlanta Braves in the East, the Dodgers in the West. My Central was kind of a coin flip. I think only one comes out of that division, but give me Milwaukee. I just have a funny feeling about Milwaukee. As much as I would like to see St. Louis there, I don't think that's happening. So the Braves, Dodgers, and Brewers.
And
my wild cards, I'm high on them this year. Give me San Diego. They'll be the first wild card. And you kind of hit on it. There's something that is impressive about Rojas and what the Metropolitans might pull out in this year. So the Mets in the NL.
All right, I will agree with you for the most part. I'm going to take the Dodgers, of course, in the West. Give me the Milwaukee Brewers as well in the Central. But I'm taking the New York Mets. I'm all in there to win the NL East. And I'm just going to swap out the Mets and the Braves. I think the wild card teams will be the Padres and the Braves. So we have the same 5 teams in the postseason, just in a slightly different order. How about your American League?
American League, I am going to. It's hard to go against the Yankees, what they've done this year. I think the Yankees are there, and I'm going Angels in the West, Minnesota being my central team. So I think that, but I'm kind of like on board with you. I think Tony La Russa does something good with the White Sox, so they'll be my first AL wild card, and the West will get Houston out of there too. I think they're there, but they're not.
So no defending AL champion Tampa Bay in the postseason.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so this year.
Eric, you hear that? That's what Robert said. Robert said it.
I'll probably hear from
And you keep saying that you believe with me about my takes on these teams that are on the up, but you just don't go far enough.
No.
The Chicago White Sox will win the AL Central. I'm going to take the Oakland A's in the AL West. I don't think they take a step back like you think. And, of course, I'm taking the New York Yankees in the East. My wild cards, give me the Tampa Bay Rays and the Minnesota Twins as my 2 wild cards.
So our eight are no close.
No,
we've got
the NL, we got the same 5 teams. The AL is so up for grabs. It's fantastic. But I need give me your World Series.
I'm all about the Braves. I think it's going to be the Braves and the Angels.
Wow, the Angels all the way to the World Series.
Yeah,
you're gonna hate yourself when they finish 77 and 80.
Hopefully, we'll.
I'm a homer. I'm going to take the New York Yankees. I think it's between them and the White Sox. Honestly, I just can't go that far with the White Sox yet.
You would.
So give me the Yankees here. If they can stay healthy, they're the best team in the American League by far, but they can never stay healthy. So that's the problem. And you know what? I'm going to take the San Diego Padres. From the wild card, get that young team rolling in October. I'll take the Yankees and Padres. It'll be fun.
Well, we'll have to ask Cole in a few minutes if he's a baseball fan, who he's going to take. We'll see.
See, there you go, Eric. I told Robert about our stuff, and Eric was mad at me yesterday. Now he's mad at Robert.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
You are listening to R&R Sports Report right here on KLCZ 88.9 FM Lewiston. Currently 45 degrees outside. Make sure you check us out on Facebook and YouTube under the pages. I lost my train of thought. The R&R Sports Report Facebook and YouTube pages. We are 30 Facebook page likes away from having to falling on a 2-on this match.
That's going to be ugly.
Make sure I do not challenge Cole to anything here in a minute.
Dude, he'll outrun both of us. He'll run circles
I don't want.
around us.
Do not let me.
I hope not. If you're a student at LCSC, become a DJ here at KLC 88.9 is just one of many ways you can get involved here on campus. There's so many ways, and I'm not going to list them all. From a county club to wildlife society, everything in between, student activities, has all the information you need to find your community here on campus. More information is available at the student activities webpage or at the office here at the Student Union Building, room 220.
All right, so we brought his name up a couple times.
Yep.
So there's so much to move around. Hold on. Good grief. I got lots going on. Let's add in right here.
We should put Seth start being our producer.
Yeah, I think Seth finally took off.
But
we got Cole Olson from the cross country team who finished first at the Cascade Conference Tournament. It was Friday, right? That you guys ran, and Cole ended up winning his event as well. So Cole, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us. I had to tell Khalil too, that microphone's not great, so you want to talk right into it.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah. Well, Khalil was just sitting there a minute ago. Khalil probably got him a little bit taller.
So, Cole, how are you feeling?
Which are you referring to? Like school running?
Wherever you want to take it. I wanted it as open as possible. And we'll go from there.
I'm feeling good. I'm ahead on schoolwork, which is pretty abnormal for me. But yeah, pretty good. The sun.
So I asked Khalil earlier. Again, I'm a freshman here, so I'm an old freshman. We went through that multiple times. But so just the school schedule is just weird for me, anyways. But this year being different and moving spring break back when this week was supposed to be spring break, has that messed with you at all this week?
Honestly, I've just been going with the flow. I didn't expect it till it's later, so for me, not too much.
Now you're local. I don't know how to say you're local, from Clearwater, Idaho. So,
yeah.
You're used to being up here. What made you stay here at LCSC and when you stay in the area?
I think it's just beautiful, and I've always known, at least the community, I know the feel of it. I think it's really wonderful around here, and like I said, the rivers are such a huge attraction for me and a lot of people. So that in itself made me stick around.
Does that really help with your training when you're out running and stuff?
Oh, for
being
sure.
able out in the wilderness and stuff.
Yeah, running, like when you're out there, you want to see something different every once in a while, and you got to see that around here at least because you have the rivers and at least a little bit of wildlife.
Well, and knowing that you're coming from CVH and all that, I mean, it's beautiful. I remember driving, and I worked for Blue Ribbon for a short time, and be able to just drive up the river and seeing something different every time. Every Wednesday, it was like, okay, I didn't realize that was there. You just get a whole different look of the area, so it's kind of cool to see. So
yeah, nothing's more than like the Selway or the South Fork of Clearwater. I love this place.
So your major is kinesiology. What's the plan after school?
So I'm also getting a minor in biology. That's maybe not listed yet, but after that, for now I'm planning to go to get a master's degree in nutrition because I wanted to be a dietitian. But if I decided I want to go to school anymore, I'm not sure.
Robert and I could use that expertise.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on mine. I'm still down. We haven't talked about it. I'm down 17. I dropped another pound this last week, but doing the fasting thing, that's kind of new, and got to thank one of the teachers I work with, Veronica Lyon, getting me into watching and doing that. So maintaining everything in that short window. So I mean that's huge, and especially with this area. So. Mm-hmm. So the cross-country train finished first in CC tournament play on Friday. You ended up first with 24:18.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. 14-second win. I mean, unbelievable how fast. What is part of your training regimen for these kind of things?
There's a lot that goes into it, both physically and mentally, I would say. The mental aspect, I don't think a lot of people realize. However, it's insanely important to be able to push yourself, to be going for so long and feeling an amount of pain for so long. So there's like visualization training that we do a lot of, on our own time, but then like during practice every single day. Every other day we're doing hard workouts. Every other day we're doing easy running. But it's just a lot of miles, but we enjoy it for the most part.
What is more difficult mentally for you? Being behind somebody and trying to keep yourself from not pushing too hard to then catch up and running out of your energy trying to do that, or being out in front and trying to make sure you're staying at pace and not letting yourself let up at all?
It's different for everybody, but for me personally, I would say it's a lot easier to just be up front because I'm not worrying about anybody but myself. Mm-hmm. And I can look at my watch and be like, okay, this is my mile pace. This is where I am. This is where I need to be. I'm either doing well or not, and I adjust from there.
Are you allowed to listen to music or anything during these events? Or?
During races, no. During practice, also no. But kind of ideal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like minutia, little things that you can really pick up on if you were listening to music. There's also studies that show listening to music decreases or increases pain tolerance, so it's like a performance enhancer. So
we'll need that when we get to play against in a few weeks.
100%.
It'll be crazy. So are you strictly cross country when you're here? Are you getting involved with the track and field events too, or is that something that you want to do with both?
Yeah, so Coach Collins has most of his distance runners do indoor track and outdoor track, as well as cross country. So we're, during all of the school year, we are in season. If it's the fall, it's usually cross country. If it's the winter, it's usually indoor track, and if it's spring, it's usually outdoor track. So right after nationals, which is in 2 weeks, we are going to outdoor track. We have an outdoor track meet the week after that. There's already outdoor track meets going on that our track team is involved with. But yeah, the cross kids, we're waiting till nationals, and then
you did the indoor track final, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got done with that 3 or 4 weeks ago.
So how has it been smashing all 3 of your seasons into one season?
It's been a lot, but it's still really fun. It's nice to catch up because it's been so long since we had raced. All of last year we weren't racing, so getting back into it is super, super nice. It's been so fun just having competition again. Yeah.
How do you like racing up in the orchards? Kind of different. Can you talk about some of the other tracks, cross country races you go to? You're getting ready to go to Cedar Rapids. I mean, what do some of these courses look like? I mean, can you explain to our listeners about that?
Yeah, so every course is different. Each has their like strengths and weaknesses. Our course specifically up in the orchards is really nice because everybody knows it's fast. And that's when you want to PRs on your course, because you got to consider the ground. Our course specifically is very packed, solid like soil, which is really nice for running, especially with some long spikes. And other courses can be a lot more grassy. We have some grass patches, but and then we have the uphills and the downhills. And for our course specifically, our uphills are short but steeper, and then our downhills are really long, which is nice because then we can cruise. But for our course, like I ran our Cedar Rapids course 2 years ago, and it's a lot more flat, but it's also a lot more grassy, and there's like wood chips. So all that has to go into consideration. Being flat though, it's kind of nice because the pace is more consistent between miles. Because we run 5 miles, there's like usually a lot to consider
Now, does
for our course. Yeah.
your training change based on what events coming up? Whether you're like that one being flat, or you just trying to run like the rivers or something, and something a little bit more flat that way, or does that change at all?
Yeah. So like last year and next year, we are going to be running in Washington for nationals, and that course specifically has some really, really steep but short hills. And so we'll go up to like Walker Field, which is in the orchards. And that has like a really steep grassy hill that we'll train on specifically for that. We lost hills nowadays because our nationals course this month is flat.
And I've been up there to that course, and a lot of people that they keep it kind of open. You know, Lewiston hosted the Idaho State cross country a couple years ago, and so I had the opportunity to see that course, and it's a nice course, and everything is right there. If you're a spectator, everything's right there. I mean, you can watch pretty much everybody, and it's only the far north end. You kind of lose them for maybe 10, 15 seconds, but normally they're right back up. So talking about that, where you race on different courses, what kind of prep do you do for your body? Do you tape your ankles a little bit differently running on different? Do you tape your feet? I mean, you see a lot of athletes now got those tape jobs all over their arms or all over their legs and stuff. Do you do any of that kind of stuff getting into ready for races?
I'd say it's pretty funny. Most cross runners are pretty minimal when it comes to like what we wear, unless we're injured and our athletic trainers want us to wear something. Usually it's like most people's only difference is spikes with socks or without socks. Yeah. Myself, I'm in the latter. So unless it's like super muddy, and then we'll like tape our shoes to our feet so that the mud doesn't suck them off. But usually, yeah, we're not covered in too much, the bare minimum.
So you had an event earlier this year that we saw the pictures for that was at our event, but it was in snow.
Yeah.
How was that event?
It was the first time for me actually running in the snow for a race. And it's funny because that race PR for this year in the 8K, I actually ran 17 seconds faster than what we did for conference, which was at the same course. So it's funny I ran so much faster in the snow. And my hands were so cold after running. I should have worn gloves.
You think maybe that's what it was? Your body was just like, I'm cold. I need to finish this race.
Maybe, yeah. Incentive.
A little extra motivation.
All right, so we're gonna play a little game with you. We just did this with Khalil. Ask you some questions, and we're gonna end some with some word association and have a little bit of fun. Get to know you a little bit better.
Awesome.
So we gotta ask the normal questions. What's your favorite movie?
Cloud Atlas.
Never heard of that one.
I was just saying this. I haven't heard of that one either.
It's a very good one.
Okay. How about a favorite sports movie? Do you got any of those?
I'm gonna go with the generic cross country movie, and it's called McFarland.
Okay. What's your favorite go-to snack food?
Chips and salsa.
Very spicy salsa. We go mild. Where are we going here?
Anything in between. I love everything.
Just all of it. What was your favorite event that you've run with LC?
Oh my. There's so many. I didn't do too well, but I'm thinking back to 2 years ago in outdoor track in Alabama. We ran under the lights at like midnight for a 10K. We had to wait for a storm. It was super, super late when we ran, but it was really beautiful.
That's very cool. What's your favorite class here?
My favorite class. I took this so long ago, but I really like Psych 205 with Diesner. That's a good one.
I had Diesner in the fall. You I love that class. How about your favorite teacher?
I gotta go with Clay Robinson. He's a good guy. We love listening to him and about his life.
What does he do?
He's in the movement and sports science division.
Okay.
He does a lot of like the kinesiology classes.
Gotcha. All right, now we're gonna do some word association. I'm just gonna say a thing or a name. Give me the first thing that comes to your mind. Jesse.
Running.
Yeah. How about Clayton Van Dyke?
Roommate. He's my roommate.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are both. I mean, every time we talk cross country on the show, it's either you or
Yeah.
or we're just 1-2.
We're always talking running.
Does that help
I love
motivate you? Being his roommate and pushing each other?
Yeah, we're always neck and neck
Mhm.
running with each other in practices, and we're always in our off days when we still get to run just by ourselves. We bounce ideas off our heads, and it's so nice having him around.
I helped do PA for baseball on Saturday and was talking to Alicia, who does all the articles and stuff on LC Warriors and keeps track of all that stuff. And she's typing that out, and she's like, "All right, the men won first, and Cole got first." Duh.
Yeah.
So it's always you and Clayton just out there.
Mhm.
How about Colton Smith?
Last year, this is his last. He ran his last race on Friday.
Did he?
He's with us for all 4 years, so it's pretty sad to see him go, but I love being around him. Yeah.
Well, Colin.
It's funny. I think mayor because he's also the mayor of Lewiston. That's what I think.
All right, how about you, Cole Olson?
Wow. Learning. I don't know.
Always learning.
Yeah.
How about Cedar Rapids, Iowa?
Nervous.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It'll be fun though.
Now, we did talk a few minutes ago also with Khalil, and we talked about him coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
Him being a senior, he's coming back for his 5th year. What's your game plan? You're senior again this year. You're coming back again next year for CSC then.
Yeah, so I'm staying another year so we can get those 3 more seasons in. So probably the fall and then track. Yeah.
Will you be much happier that it'll be to spread back
Oh
out?
my goodness, yes, it'll be nice. Yeah. It's really exciting to look forward to though.
All right. So Cole, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We want to wish you the best of luck out there. We'll keep an eye out on the webpage and see how things go.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in. Good luck. What you said 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Well,
2 weeks.
actually 1 week now.
Yeah. Is next Friday?
Mhm.
I believe is.
April 9th.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, this year's going so fast.
I know, it's crazy. I know. We go back to full-time students next week over Clarkson High School or Clarkson. It's crazy. It's crazy where the Cedars went.
All right, and then hopefully next year we'll have you back on and we'll be able to talk
Of course,
again.
yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Cole Olson from the cross country team, and good luck to him as he travels up to Iowa for the NAIA National Championships on April 9th. Good luck to him, and hopefully he comes back with a big championship.
Yes, absolutely. And I know he's nervous, and I honestly think it's because he is so good at what he does. He has a fantastic chance. It's just every time we talk track or cross country, I mean, his name is right up there.
And then that's the thing. We talked about it a little while ago. It's the idea of getting away from those big things of this school is just this. That's not LCSC anymore. I mean, it's not. We've got cross country. And
I love the fact that I was
crazy.
so focused on Cole and making sure I was looking at my notes and stuff. Rob and I was answering his questions with him. It was great. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna guess that the eating part was his favorite activity.
I don't know his vacation. He's kind of like me. If you know the area that we're from, or on the Clearwater River, and gone to high school at Clearwater Valley. It's beautiful. I can imagine him up there training, running up through the subway in Norfolk. I can just imagine him. He's probably a fisherman. Probably.
So once again, thank you so much to Khalil Stevenson and Cole Olson for taking time out today. That's my favorite part about this is meeting the different kids here at the college. I shouldn't say kids, but I'm old. And from the different sports and just learning the differences, and especially the way this year has been. It's been fantastic. As let's get a score update. We got Michigan right now up over UCLA 11-4. Halfway through the first half, UCLA has 4 points.
I like that though. 9-0 run for Michigan in the last 11.
That's
9 minutes.
We get runs. You got just under 4 minutes to go on the final Elite Eight women's mat game right now. Louisville still over Stanford 45-39, but Stanford has into that lead, cut it in half actually here in the third quarter. So we'll keep an eye out on both of those games. I'll make it 45-41 Louisville over Stanford as they call it out 3:42 to go in the third quarter. Let's move on here to some NFL. And it was funny, I messaged you this morning going, man, I have like nothing to talk about on the football side other than the big trade that we'll get to here shortly. Like, what else do we want to talk about? NFL owners went, hold on.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much signings at all this last week.
It's all kind of slowed down. So let's do the signings real quick. T.Y. Hilton staying with the Colts on a 1-year deal. Not too surprised there. Willie Snead went to the Raiders. I mean, this is at the bottom of the barrel that we're getting to here. Deshaun Jackson to the LA Rams could be pretty interesting. Put him with Stafford. That could be pretty good. But the NFL owners came out today saying that they are going to add one more regular season game to the schedule. Teams will now play 17 games.
Tell me, how does it actually make you feel?
As a football fan or as somebody that runs a bowling league based on the NFL and last year spent 3 months building a database for the next 5 years that is no longer going to work? Which side do you want this on?
I don't know.
As a football fan, I love it.
I do. I think, we don't get as many meaningful games there in those 4 games. I'm excited to see the chance of having, what they're talking, 9 home games. You either get 9 home games or you get 8 home games.
Yeah.
And
well, you end up with 10 either way. It's whether you get 1 or 2 preseason
exactly
games, and that'll go back and forth.
But I think also, and I don't know if I'm a huge advocate because I hate seeing these teams travel across to England and having them go play, a game in England in the international side. This opens up the idea that every one of the teams will start doing at least 1 game every 8. I think I heard them talking 1 game every 8 years for some of the teams,
right,
unless you're Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, you play over in England like 3 times or something.
Well, pretty soon it'll be 9 times.
Yeah,
they'll just move.
Yeah, but I mean, they're talking about bringing the game that we love to like Germany and getting a team in Germany, getting that more playing time in Mexico. So I'm kind of excited for that, but
I'm still surprised that they're doing it with the NFL. I mean, obviously you have to get the name out, and doing it with the NFL works better than making another Europe league, which obviously worked so well. But I'm surprised they're not doing more stuff like that. Working with obviously you get the CFL and the XFL kind of working together. Why not work with that group and help them be more international? And then, instead of trying to work the NFL into everything, because obviously your players hate it. It messes up their bye week. Though I would say I would not be opposed to adding in a second week now that you've added in a game.
So then you're really going to screw up our February month.
Yeah.
Because
that's
what I thought. All I could think about is, okay, Super Bowl is going to be another week later.
Yeah, but now hold on. Now here's my thing about it. While they were talking about it on some radio show today, and they were trying to figure out how to push the Super Bowl back 1 more week or move a certain date up in the calendar, and I'll get to it. So right now, the season's going to start at the same time, the weekend after Labor Day or the Thursday after Labor Day.
Would we say that's the 9th or
The
something.
7th, I think.
September
this year.
7th or 9th.
7th or 9th this year. And the Super Bowl this year will be February 13th, which is going to mess with all of the husbands out there
Oh, dear Lord.
as far as Valentine's Day. But here's my thing. You add in a second bye week, right? You push that Super Bowl back one more week. And you put the Super Bowl on the Sunday before President's Day.
Then you have a day off.
And then we've always been saying we want the Monday after the Super Bowl to be a national holiday. So if you push it back one more week, you have a national holiday.
Did you call Roger Goodell on that?
I
You
need
need
to.
to email. That didn't even dawn on me.
I think the players would like it. We're having that extra week. You have 1 week off in the first 8 or 9 games. You'd have another week off in your second 8 or 9 games. Then on one of those bye weeks, you could put international game before it.
Right.
I think it would work out.
I think so.
So you get one normal bye week and you get one bye week with an international game.
So then,
And then we get a President's Day after the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. So here's how you get it to the players. The Pro Bowl would be the week before, which would be Valentine's Day weekend usually. So then the players can take their wives and girlfriends to Hawaii for Valentine's
wherever,
Day.
yeah.
It's a win-win-win-win-win situation.
I don't know. What does that do for NASCAR?
You just push that back.
I mean, we're so jacked up about NASCAR
listen.
starting. You roll over those 3 dates. We had, what do we have? Super Bowl, NASCAR, Royal Rumble. I mean, it's wham, wham, wham.
Yeah, I mean, the Rumble get pushed back. It's going to be curious what the Rumble does anyways. Is it going to be February pay-per-view now? So that'll be interesting what WWE ends up doing. But I think as far as WWE goes, they have too many pay-per-views at the start of 2021 before WrestleMania anyways.
So the only reason I say that is, and I hate being this person, is about the dollar. It's about these owners making money. It's about the players, and that's the big one. The players are going to get a little bit nicer chunk of money out of this, going in their pocket. How much does that change, television and
that
what
contract is so insane.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. Money.
My buddy, who's a huge Chiefs fan, has been spouting off for weeks that Mahomes trade is going to look cheap after this next TV deal. Salary cap skyrockets from that.
Yeah, I haven't heard what that deal was. I know they
It's
were wrapping things up. But...
Insane. So talking about Daytona 500, everyone's like, oh, it's usually Valentine's Day. It hasn't been. I was trying to remember what year. It was 2012. I went to Portland, Oregon to watch Monday Night Raw live on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was the day after my birthday. But I was over there for my birthday weekend and watched Daytona 500 before the show. My birthday is February 27th.
Right.
So it can be the end of February. They would be just fine. And NASCAR's having enough problems as it is. I don't think they would hurt to shorten their season a little bit and cut out a Pocono event.
Yeah.
Because those races are terrible.
So let's talk a little bit about the major first round spot.
Yes.
I mean, what a mess. I mean, I texted you. I was all excited to hear about it. And what do you texted less than 20 minutes later? Guess what?
It's changed again.
Changed already.
So San Francisco 49ers moved up from the 12th spot up to number 3, which you have to believe is to take a quarterback.
Yep.
Which then you have to believe that they love one in particular that they don't think would take.
I think you're right.
But
as much as I was behind Jimmy G, I still think Jimmy G is probably going to be the starter.
Quarterback situation is going to get.
I think it's going to be them taking a quarterback. They have to. I mean, yes. Jimmy's got a lot to prove.
But how do you know which one's for moving right now? How do you know which one's going to be there? Whether it's the Jets picking it 2 or the Jets trading down, a quarterback is now 100% locked in to go in the number 2 spot because San Francisco moves up. we're almost 100% guaranteed to go quarterback in this draft.
Oh, 100%. Especially
There's
after
no way the 49ers moved up to get an offensive lineman.
Well, yeah, and especially with Urban Meyer coming out and saying we're going this direction. Now, is that a big smokescreen? I doubt it. I mean, they're already moving away from Gardner, moving away from that kind of stuff. I'm 100% with you. I think it is going to be first 3 picks, and they're going to be extremely fast picks, the first 3. And I think they're quarterback 3.
There's a way it could be 4. We could have the first 4 picks being quarterbacks. We put on here an idea for a mock draft. We're running longer today.
We're gonna wait till next week.
So we're gonna do it next week for sure. Oh, I threw it in there just before we were able to lock in these guests and stuff. But there's a chance that the top 4 picks in this draft could all be quarterbacks.
And I would not be surprised with that. It's all going to come down to Atlanta and what they do. And I mean, whether they trade down or not. But
I had heard something again. I think it was a Doug Gottlieb show today when I was heading home after class, and he had brought up the fact that if you're Atlanta, say Justin Fields drops, say San Francisco takes a Trey Lance, which I have no idea, or if the number 2 pick is Trey Lance and they get Zach Wilson or whatever. Say Justin Fields drops or a Trey Lance drops to 4, because obviously one of them has to drop. If you're Atlanta, the next team that is almost guaranteed to take a quarterback is Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to risk not taking a quarterback there just because you believe you have 2 more years of Matt Ryan and letting somebody who could become the next big thing drop to a division rival?
You know what I think it would be? I think it would be kind of dependent if they could get into Cincinnati's spot. Cincinnati's got the 5 spot.
Who?
I would think
who would go to the 5th spot?
If I had any move, and I would even think about building and getting a quarterback that I really want, John Elway, move up.
Oh, okay.
Move
Moving
up.
up to the.
Move up.
Gotcha.
Move up to the.
I think
5.
Cincinnati could move out.
Okay. Well, I mean, they've already said Joe Burrow, and I love Joe Burrow.
But here's also the thing: if you're Cincinnati, maybe you don't move out because you're guaranteed to get the best non-quarterback player in the draft,
which they need an offensive lineman.
Yes.
That's their first one. Even though they've signed Reed, and they're starting to shore up that line a little bit, they need another good lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
this draft
does the Denver Broncos make a big push? Do they sweeten the pot enough for, say, Cincinnati to drop out, or to drop out of a spot to maybe get a different pick?
I will finish what happened with those trades in a second, but it's so fascinating to me. Not only what's going to happen in this draft, especially at the very top of this, because it's so up in the air, but this next month. Because now you got Garoppolo has to be getting shopped right now. Whether they keep him to be the guy that starts until the heir apparent is ready, or they move him. The Jets are taking calls on Sam Darnold, so there's a good chance he possibly gets moved.
And we don't want to even start talking the whole Houston quarterback thing. I mean, there's
Watson was looking to get moved, and now with all of his legal stuff, who knows what happens there? He could still get moved. This could lock him up.
I agree. I think this next 30, 28 days are going to look
April 29th is the first round of the NFL draft. This month is going to be insane, and I love it. So again, San Francisco moves from 12 to 3. Miami, the 12th pick this year, a 3rd rounder this year, and then 1st round picks in 2022 and 2023. Then they decided we dropped too far. And on the same day, gave the 12th pick, what was it, a 4th round pick? It was 123rd overall to Philadelphia. And then Miami's own 2022 1st round pick. And they moved up from 12 to 6 and then got number 156 this year. So in the end, they went from 3 to 6, gave up their own pick next year in the 1st round, and got San Francisco's next 2.
So where do they go? There's the big question. So who's on their board for Miami? And maybe this is a Richie question.
I think it's top wide receiver. There's some fantastic wide receivers out there. There's a few of them,
and there's a couple of them that I'm surprised they're not even any of the mock people are taken in the top 10.
But again, with all of these quarterbacks going early,
it's going to be a mess.
That everything's going to drop down. So Miami going up to 6. Again, if you go quarterback, I don't think 4 and 5 are both going to take a wide receiver. So you're guaranteed at least the second best wide receiver at the spot. If not, your wide receiver of choice at that point, which I think that's the route they're going to go. They're going to give a big weapon to Tua.
They've got to. They need to.
So it's going to be interesting.
And we'll get into our mock draft here in the next 2 weeks. I mean,
so Boomer is not which is Boomer, Rob?
So Boomer is not playing. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what he means by that. I'll catch up with Rob there. All right, so let's move on from the NFL. Other than I want to answer Rob's question when we get there. We gotta move on. We got 30 minutes left to the show. This has been a great show.
And we stressed about not having enough in the second hour.
Or having too much time?
Too much time.
But no, I mean, again, Cole and Khalil were both fantastic. Let's talk some LC sports real quick. Baseball continues to dominate the CCC. It's almost becoming a little laughable. Hopefully they don't get Gonzaga syndrome and take their foot off the gas. But their odds is really getting better as they sweep the 4-game set against Eastern Oregon this weekend. 3 of the 4 games ended early. On Saturday, they won 12-1 in 7 innings, and then they won 10-0 in 8 innings. On Sunday, they won 3. Unfortunately, had to play all 9 innings, poor guys, and then win 10-0 in 7 on Sunday. They're now 22-2 on the year, 15-1 in conference, and they've won their last 13 straight games. There are only 4 weeks left already in this baseball regular season. It's easy to think. And this is the last year that the LCSC Warriors get the automatic bid into the national tournament, though I think the way they're playing, I think they would get in. Anyways, and then next year they're going to have to be in their little 5-team opening tournament and have to win that 5-team tournament to get in. But this will be the last year for LC to get that automatic bid, and then the rest of the country stops complaining. Men's tennis loses their doubleheader to Montana. They lose 0-7 the first match, 1-6 in the second one. But shout out to Itaru Kikuchi, who had himself a great second match against them. He and William Broussard win their doubles match in the second round. And then he also wins his singles match, 3-6, 7-6, 10-8.
That's a lot of
yeah, again, the third set in NAIA is just a point system. So he gets the first 10 points. But still, fantastic job by them. And we're talking to Cole. Usually he's part of the track and field too, but as they're getting ready for nationals, they're not doing this stuff. But track and field had a great weekend. Shout out to Annika Grogan, who finished second in the 100-meter dash. Remember, I talked to Annika last week as she broke the LCSC record, 100-meter dash last week. Well, she broke her own record by 0.2 seconds. Her record now is 12.64 seconds. She also finished second in the 100-meter with her personal best 25.67. Nikki Halbert finishes 7th in that event, also getting a personal best. Delaney Warren was the discus with a 43.27-meter throw that qualifies her for nationals with whatever a B standard is. But I see that around, but it's a national qualifying score. Ashley Britt also with the national qualifying standard as she won the 400-meter hurdles with a personal best just over 1 minute. Andrew Carlisle was the pole vault, wearing 4.33 meters. And Christian Bothwell and Caleb Moore both finished in the top 10 into the decathlon. So just a fantastic event for track and field. And volleyball in their last 2 games at home, and they had senior night on Saturday, come away with 2 huge wins against College of Idaho, winning 3-1 and 3-0, and are still sitting in a 3-way tie for the final 2 spots in the tournament. I talked about it a lot. I did the streaming broadcast for the first game on Saturday, and so it's a 3-way tie that the LC is in right now, and College of Idaho is 1 game back for 2 spots. So they are still in that battle. Unfortunately, the two teams that they are tied with are playing the bottom feeders of the conference, while LC has to travel to Eastern Oregon to face the undefeated team in the conference for their final two games of the regular season. Hopefully can find a way to win at least one and find a way to make the CCC tournament. So good luck to the ladies next week.
Real quick, let's answer Laura's question. Right now, the NAIA World Series is a signed agreement through 2024. So after that, then things will change a little bit. They'll put out a bid again. But it's one of those things that's kind of like Omaha. Yeah, I saw that.
That's great.
Kind of like Omaha, though. It's become the hub of the NCAA World Series. That's kind of what's happening here. I don't see them going away from it, but they have in the past. But I think they'll probably. Lewiston still gets it through 2024.
And there will be one this year with limited fans. And hopefully that number will go up as we get closer and closer to the event, but we will keep you updated right here.
I hope so.
Just a quick schedule for LCSC. Friday, you get track and field up in Spokane. Baseball has a double header on both Friday and it should be Saturday and Sunday. Maybe it's Friday and Saturday. I forget. But actually, maybe it's a one game Friday, 2 games Saturday, 1 game Sunday. Maybe that's what it is. Women's tennis is hosting College of Idaho at 5 p.m. on Friday. They'll play 1 p.m. on Saturday. And again, women's volleyball at Eastern Oregon, 7 p.m. Friday and 5 p.m. on Saturday.
Couple of quick shouts here for as we get into Washington high school sports, and Soton comes back and brings their record to 2-3 after a well-deserved win against Lynn Ritzville Sprague Washtuckna Colotus, winning that one 31-6. Braden Barnea hit a 28-yard TD pass, halfback pass to Josh Epling. Also kicked a 37-yard field goal. They will be hosting Northwest Christian, who is 0-3 on the season, Thursday night, 6 p.m., and you can listen to that on the radio. Also, Clarkson had a tough matchup against West Valley on Friday night. They ended up losing that one 42-6. They just couldn't get any offensive going, holding Eddie Berglund to under 50 yards rushing. The Bantams will be on the road and be playing in Martin Stadium against the 2-2 Poland Greyhounds on Friday, 7 p.m. on that one. We jump over to the girls soccer. Girls soccer has come away with a couple of big wins the last 2 matches. They are now 6-3 on the season. They beat Valley on last Thursday, 2-1 with Jolie Nicholas scoring both goals, and then they played again tonight. They played against West Valley and come away with a 2-0 score. Jolie Nicholas again with another big goal, along with Sadie Thummel. We'll travel up and play Shadle Park up at the Merkel Complex in Spokane on Thursday, 4 p.m. Look for their page on Facebook. They'll be streaming that game live. So, Lewiston baseball had a rough weekend as they traveled down south and lost all 4 of their games, bringing their record now to 4-5. They lost Highland on Friday 4, and then lost again to Rocky Mountain 12-8. And Saturday they lose Eagles 6-2, and then Madison 12-7 loss. Bengals have no games this week as it's spring break, but the Bantams are playing sports this week because Spokane had their spring break last week, and so they were not changing things.
And at this point, you're trying to cram in all of these sports in there. Yeah. You got to get them. You got to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick Big Sky football update is Idaho defeats Southern Utah 33-32. They moved to 2-1 on the year. UC Davis was able to beat Idaho State, so Idaho State dropping to 1-3. And Eastern Washington crushes Cal Poly 62-10.
When I saw those stats, I was like, "Oh my!"
So they go to 3-1 on the year. Their only loss still to Idaho. Next games this week, both on Saturday. Eastern Washington has UC Davis, and Idaho will face Idaho State. Eastern Washington at 2, and Idaho State at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Still really cool to see some college football here in the spring. Quick NBA update. Robert's still winning.
Yeah, that's good enough. We'll move on.
Yeah.
20
By 7 games this week, has a 21-win lead. It's just getting sad.
Yep.
Laura, yes, Zag updates. Gonzaga did win tonight. They have headed up to the Final Four. They won their game 85-66.
You know why she's asking, right?
Huh.
She's back in South Carolina, sitting on a beach
Right, fair.
with her grandbaby
Then
and all
never
that
mind,
stuff.
Laura. I ain't giving you any updates. I'm jealous.
Sitting on the beach, playing with her
Uh,
grandson.
27 seconds to go in the first half here. UCLA beating Michigan 27-23, so they've turned things around there. Speaking of turning things around, 5:12 to go in the fourth quarter of the final Women's Elite 8 matchup. Stanford now leading Louisville 63-54. The Cardinal have outscored Louisville 37-16 in the second half, including 18-4 in the fourth quarter. Now they lead 66-54.
Crazy.
Completely pulling things away and going to mess up my chances of catching you in there.
Yeah. Let's jump over one really quick. We'll go back to PGA really quick. Again, we're all about Joel Damon. He comes away with his first PGA championship down at Corrales, Punta Cana, winning his first ever championship. But there was other golf going on. And the type of golf I really like, I love match play, and watched a lot of golf this weekend. Billy Horschel defeats Scotty Scheffler 2-1 in the championship game on Sunday. Then Kuchar wins 2-1 over Victor Perez and kind of knocks Victor out of the chance of getting his card this year. We'll see what happens. $1.82 million to Billy Horschel for winning the match play golf tournament. Next tournament is going to be the last tune-up before the Masters, as they are going to be down at the Texas Open at the TPC there in San Antonio.
All right, now it is that time to talk, as we just started with golf, but the sports just don't get enough airtime, especially here in the States. Let's talk some Aussie rules football. And before we get to your travesty of a game, I have so much to say about
I
that
don't
game.
understand.
I will explain.
I got a win.
I want to. You did.
A win's a win. That's what I told you. A win is a win.
I want to say welcome back to Buddy, who used to be a Hawk, was the big free agent signing years ago to the Sydney Swans. If you're just getting into Aussie rules football, look up Buddy Franklin on YouTube. That man was absolute. He's also the guy I was telling you either last week or the week before of the guy that tore his ACL on the field and they had to walk him off while the game was going on. That was Buddy Franklin.
Oh, crazy.
But he has not played since 2019. Came back, was on the field for the Swans as they crushed the Crows 121-80. As much as I'm still sad that he's not a Hawk, he's probably the player of all time. So it's great to see him come back. Another score I want to bring up was the Western Bulldogs, Eric Watkins, Western Bulldogs, in the game of the year so far, beating West Coast Eagles 100-93. I think they changed leads 12 times in the fourth quarter, or at least that's what it felt like. Every 2 seconds, somebody was scoring a goal and taking the lead back. Unfortunately, the Hawthorn Hawks lose their matchup to defending champions Richmond. Was not close. They lose 49-78. And it felt like, obviously, Hawthorn coming back from 40 last week was insane. Go Hawthorn. I got it right there. Was just ridiculous. I didn't expect that here with Richmond, but it seemed like every time Hawthorn would score a goal to try to get back into it, Richmond would score within 3 minutes. There was even one time where the Hawks scored a goal, and from the tip, they had 2 passes and they scored within 16 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It was gross. So let's get to the travesty. And I will explain why it's a travesty to you, sir, and to everyone else listening. But your Geelong Cats do get their first win of the year. They beat the Brisbane Lions 81-80.
It was chippy.
Very chippy.
It was very pushy back and forth. So, but I don't understand the last. It was almost last 40 seconds, 30 seconds of the game.
So the reason why it was such a big deal. So there are 2 ways that you can pass the ball in Aussie rules football. That's with your foot, with a volleyball-like bump. That's it. You cannot toss the ball to another player, And if you get tackled and you drop the ball, it's a mishandling of the ball, and it automatically goes to the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Your defender, right next to your opponent's goal, got tackled and dropped the ball, and the referees called it an illegal pass. And able to escape out of that zone and go back for the point. So you're up by 2 at that point. They went back, gave up the 1 point, which was fine, and then ran out the rest of the time.
Right.
What should have happened is they were supposed to blow the whistle and give the ball to Brisbane, and then they were going to be able to just kick it from right there because it was right in front of the goal.
Oh, it was
Geelong should have lost that match without question.
win's a win.
That's very true. I cannot disagree with that.
I'm gonna take it. But that game was very chippy. So, but I'm more excited this weekend.
Yes.
Last game of the round 3 games. Your Hawthorn Hawks, my Geelong Cats. Sunday. Do you think that Fox gets a deal done? Because that was a scheduled game that was supposed to be on
It
Fox.
makes me so sad that right now it's not on Fox Sports. And I also hate that I still am too stupid to remember that I follow Hawthorn on Facebook and check Facebook in the morning and then spoil myself before I can watch the replay. It's been a rough start to the season for an AFL fan here in the States, the way I would like to be. But yes, Geelong, Hawthorn, and their only matchup this year, which is really surprising. Yep. They almost are always facing each other twice. And as you said, Sunday night, 10:20 p.m. local time, if you can find a way to stream it and check it out. Or check it out on YouTube or their highlight videos. I want to answer a couple questions from Eric before we finish things off. Think Buddy can get to 1,000. He's 50 away, right around 50. That's asking a lot for somebody that's been that long, but I am rooting for it. I think that would be really cool. And then what is his other comment here? I mean, can't really contain Dusty. No, Dusty's fantastic for Western. If you want to see one of the better AFL players out there, go watch Dusty over there with the Bulldogs. Huh?
He's big.
Big.
He's a big boy.
And there's going to be a lot of questions about the Geelong-Brisbane game. 100%. It's not even looking like it was holding to you. It wasn't just holding to me. AFL has come out and said the referee screwed up. You can't take it back. As you said, it's a win.
Win's a win.
Controversial win.
Exactly.
With some bowling. Saw this video. Orchard, I believe, posted it.
Yeah.
Robert Lashley shooting his first 300 game on Tuesday night. That's always my favorite, is when you see somebody get there first.
Yep. And it was right as we were finishing on
Yep.
air last week when he shot it. So congratulations to him. And the other one, Dwayne throws another 300.
Obviously, his knee's feeling good.
Yeah, he must be feeling really good. And this is his second 300 in less than. This one was in a tournament that I went and bowled last week. He shot this week at a Prairie Bowl in Craigmont. That is the second 300 in that house only. It's the old Imperial Lanes that used to be over on 21st Street here in Lewiston, but that's the second 300 in that house, and he now holds the highest ever series with 799.
Now, do you feel happy that you set the record for the lanes, or are you mad that you missed 800 by a pin?
I don't know. I choked it up pretty much. I could have been run away with all events, and my doubles event just kind of fell off. It was a good shot. It was a nice shot. So,
yes, Eric says the only reason we get one is because we're far away from each other on the table, which is their standings for the AFL. Yes, they're terrible. We don't need to bring it up anymore. Okay, I have to ask, thoughts on the NASCAR dirt race? So obviously this weekend was the schedule went out the window instantly. See was it Friday they do all of the practice, and it just looked like a dust bowl. It was impossible to see anything out there. And then Saturday you're supposed to have the truck race and then all of these heat races and stuff, and it is just pouring. And they try to do the truck race and they get a lap in and they have to red flag the race and just quit because the mud is just gunking up everything. Within one lap, nobody could see any out of the windshield because it was just straight up hardcore mud. The grills were completely covered. So that was a complete train wreck. And then Sunday it was raining, so they pushed everything to Monday. What'd you think? I mean, it was an interesting experiment.
It was cool. I turned and I looked at Denise because I was typing stuff for the show there. As I told you, I said, please no spoilers because I watched late yesterday. And as I'm looking, I turned back to Denise. I said, hey, look, 40 laps in and nothing has really major happened. And just as I said that, the first major accident happened and knocks out a couple of them. And then all of a sudden it just got to be crazy. They couldn't see out of anything.
Almost every wreck early was a big one, where they would take out like 5 to 10 cars.
But what I think was cool about it is they've already announced that they said next Bristol spring race will be on the dirt again. They already announced that. They announced it at the beginning. I'm excited to see where this goes because it's only going to get better. I kind of agree with where Boyer and Gordon were talking during the race. I think having one more race or 2 more races dirt, they get things built out. I think it'll be a huge thing. So
yeah, I think they've learned a lot from this experiment, and it will get better. I enjoy this. I watched somebody on YouTube, and I will steal their analogy. For an old NASCAR fan, this felt like old Bristol before they repaved it, where it was just you rode the bottom, and then to be able to pass, you had to push them out of the way and take their spot, which I think as for newer NASCAR fans or people that don't really like the sport might find that really boring because it looks like they're just running in a line. But at that point, it's taking you laps to try to get yourself in position to make the pass instead of just forcing your way outside. It was really interesting. So after the second stage, they watered it back. And for about 15 laps, you kind of had that second lane up near the wall.
That's where Denny was at.
It would be interesting if they could figure out a way to make that work for the whole race.
Right.
Well, obviously, with having all of these races throughout the weekend, you didn't get as much tire wear all around the track, so you weren't really able to pack everything in. So it'd be interesting to see what they do next year, if they can able to get a second lane or not.
Right, and that's where I was at. That's what happened with Denny Hamlin. Denny tried to take that upper side in there at the very end, but I loved it. As I was looking and working on stuff for the show, first thing I did, I actually loaded up. I was like, okay, what races are up at State Line? I'm ready to go up and watch some Outlaw and go up and do that.
And honestly, I know a lot of hardcore NASCAR fans hated the race because they don't like it. A lot of hardcore dirt track fans didn't like that race because it didn't drive like a normal dirt track either. But to do these kind of experiments that's how you build your fan base back up, which has been an issue for a while. They have a week off this week, and they will be going to Martinsville, which is my second favorite racetrack. I love the short tracks in NASCAR.
Lights, I'm excited for that.
All right, sir. We got 5 minutes left in the show. What has happened to the show?
It's unbelievable. You and I have always talked about this. We could easily do this in a 3-hour set.
Yes. We could almost do this on a couple days a week.
Yeah, there's so much stuff to talk about.
If Haley wouldn't punch me for that idea.
All right, so this weekend sports for the week of March 24th through March 3rd, we'll do a very quick one. 1918, Howard Cosell, American broadcaster, was born on that day in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 1931, John McGraw, or as we knew him as Little Napoleon, says that night baseball will never catch on. Whoops. How did he miss that one? I don't know. Did you know in 1941, the third NCAA men's basketball championship was between Wisconsin and the Washington State Cougars? Wisconsin won that one 39-34.
Was that the last year they had a winning record?
It might be. In 1963, your New York Jets get their name. The AFLs were in it.
And everyone's all upset about the Washington change. It happens.
Yep, it does. Well, in that same time, 1971, the Boston Patriots became the New England Patriots. 1996, the Cleveland Browns choose their new name as the Baltimore Ravens.
Which you always get mad at me when I say Cleveland Browns fan.
I saw it come up and I was like, okay, there's no way.
But you were. The Ravens were the Browns. I mean, obviously they were a new franchise, and then Cleveland came back as their old stuff and kept their old stuff. But still, you're a Cleveland Browns fan hidden in your black and
I
purple.
hate to say it. 1972, Bobby Hull becomes the second NHLer to score 600 goals. Also in 1972, the next day, the LA Lakers break the NBA win record by winning
give me one more.
69 of 82, and their record ended up being 69-13. That record will stand for 24 years. Let's
One
see.
more.
Last one. Let's go 2020 international. The IOC announces the postponement of the 2020 Olympic Games will be held July 23rd and through August 8th of 2021 because of COVID.
All right. Give me your question real quick.
All right. Do you want hockey or do you want basketball?
Thank God baseball starts on Thursday.
Yes, you're going to be lucky.
Give me basketball.
All right. Most wins by a team in an NBA season, we said was
Lakers, 69.
Lakers was 69. That was in 1971 and 72 series. Who has the current record?
Oh, that's the Warriors.
How many wins?
73.
Good job. I gave you an easy one.
Yeah.
Do
Before that was the Bulls.
I was going to say, can you tell me?
70 and 12. Or 72 and 10.
I was going to say, can you tell
couldn't
me who the
remember.
other?
I think I remember if they stopped at 70 or they only had 10. But that was an even number.
Oh, look at that. You got both of them.
Yeah, take that.
Oh, you didn't want to go NHL.
No, because, I mean, as much as I'm getting tired of the basketball questions, I know more about basketball than hockey.
You knew them both. You win this week.
I only knew that because I actually followed that season. I wanted to see if they'd break the record. All right. That's going to do it for this jam-packed show.
My Lord.
There is still stuff on our notes that we didn't even get to. We'll move it to next week. And if you thought this episode was jam-packed, next week,
It's going to be nuts.
we're going to have our first mock draft on our show because we didn't get to do it this week. We will do it next week.
Mom, plug your ears.
But we'll get there. We'll get there. So we're going to have our first NFL mock draft. We're going to have the first weekend of Major League Baseball to talk about. We're going to have Geelong versus Hawthorn to talk about. No NASCAR, sadly, but we don't have time for that. I'm still going to try to get us a guest or two from these different sports that are ending up their seasons.
There is no NASCAR this weekend.
No,
We
that's
got a
what I'm
week
saying.
off. Yeah,
That-
week
but-
off. Ooh.
Sadly, we don't have anything there to talk about, but we have no time. I'm still going to try to get a guest or two, as like I said, all of these seasons are ending up, and it will be WrestleMania preview time, as WrestleMania is a week from Saturday and Sunday, as it's a 2-night event this year again. NXT is a 2-night event on Wednesday and Thursday. You get the Hall of Fame on Friday.
That's what's going to suck is I can't watch any of that until maybe I need to take the 12th off because
I need next
have
week to
bowl.
be spring. I need next week to be spring break.
Well, I'm bowling state tournament next weekend, so I bowl Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So, man, I don't know when I'm going to get to watch it.
The 30 hours of
30 hours
wrestling.
wrestling, yeah.
So it's going to just be ridiculous. That's Robert. I'm Randy. I hope you guys had a fantastic week and we'll have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. But for now, we are out.